Man, the more I know about this stuff, the more exciting it is to watch everything, like the green bars moving now that I actually kind of sort of understand what they mean. And I'm rambling a bit here because I'm paying attention to things, and I think my voice is messed up again. So here's what's going on. This episode is a little different. We are going to, as I promised in a prior episode, we are going to go ahead and talk about my new audio rig in the context of humanizing the voice on the other end of the device that you are attached to. I'm trying to come up with a legitimate connection to the podcast, but maybe I just want to talk about my stuff. All right, get over it. But for real, I did say that as I learn and go through this, I'm going to do the same with all of you. And I hope today the audio sounds a lot better than it did last episode. I think it does. I feel a lot cooler because I now have like this boom arm rig and like this bright red mixer. Is this a midlife crisis? No. I'm 37. We're good. So, this episode's going to be in 4 parts. We're going to take a break between the second and third, so right in the middle. And the first part is going to be, we're just going to get into what I bought and why I sound different. And to humanize the podcast itself, I had a buddy recently who is way too busy. And he said, I think I'm going to start a podcast. And I went, do you realize how much time goes into getting things set up properly? Like the amount of times that my computer or Audacity has like shut down in the middle of the recording because I didn't understand that there was a whole second cord that needed to be plugged in for extra power. Apparently I need extra power, but all of that stuff, just getting the basics down, right? And the amount of research I did to make sure that I got the right microphone with the right cords. Right now I've got those XLR cords, which make apparently a big difference. And having the mixer makes a big difference. So we're going to talk about all of this new cool stuff that I got. Pulling back the curtain even further, I'm going to go through, what it's like in the second part, getting ready for an episode, both by myself and with a guest. Like I said, then we're going to go to break. And speaking about the guest, the third segment is going to be about managing the guest. Corporate professionals are not trained broadcasters, so there's some tips and tricks that I usually try to tell people. And then the fourth segment of this episode is going to be about post-production, my least favorite part. Well, I take that back. It's when it all comes together, but it's a lot of work. Yeah, buddy, if you're listening to this episode, put that dream back under your pillow. I'm trying to think of an analogy here. Maybe we'll go to break. See you in a few. All right, we're back. So let's have some fun here. So I used to have what you would call a compressor mic. What that meant was it was trying to take in as much sound as possible from all around it, and it was trying to compress it into one single file. The problem is it picks up on terrible acoustics, the hum of an air conditioning unit, and now I've got this dynamic mic. It's called a Shure. Shure is the brand. It's the MV7X for those of you who are interested. But, these dynamic mics are specifically designed to reject the terrible acoustics and that hum of standard offices. I think another reason why I was so hell-bent on getting better equipment is because we all spend like 75%, 80% of our time on compressed, tinny sounding Microsoft Teams calls in echoey corporate boardrooms. You know what I mean? Like, this new audio rig, to some extent, is kind of like designed to strip away that corporate distance, even though I'm sitting on one end of a microphone and you're listening wherever the heck you're listening. But it should make me sound like a real, relatable human sitting right across the table from you, if that makes sense. I'm just trying to make this podcast more real. Plus, I like gadgets, and I got gadgets, so I'm happy. Speaking of gadgets, it wasn't just one mic. I got a second mic as well, along with the second cable, and part of the reason for the mixer is you plug both of them in and can record them as separate tracks, and you can mix both of them depending on how loud, like I am, a person is, or if the guest is really quiet or sitting further away from the microphone or just doesn't have that projection voice, I can mess with us separately. So we've probably heard on some episodes with guests where, like, I'm obviously overpowering the volume levels of the conversation. Hopefully now I'll be able to bring that down together by having two microphones, therefore two separate tracks, because they're being plugged into this mixer, which is like a little, I don't know, it's probably like 5 inches by 10 inches and then like an inch and a half tall. Like a little computer, the thing with like the knobs and the buttons and the lights. And anyways, apparently it's like a mini computer, a little brain down there, and it's figuring out what to do with this audio coming from this killer mic. That is a Scarlett 2i2 4th gen, so like the newest one from the company Scarlett. And then, believe it or not, the headphones are really important. I wear these headphones so I can hear when a guest is tapping their pen on the desk or leaning too far away from the mic, or when I sniffle like I just did. It just helps to get a better sense for what I sound like on the recording than if I was listening with my ears not covered up and I could hear all of the background noise. You know what I mean? So these headphones are Sony MDR 7506. And one thing I do need to get, I need to get a second pair for my guest, which means I need to get a splitter. See, there's a lot to this. And then kind of the big final thing, well, two, I guess, three, if you do it by categories. Number one, I got a huge like Pelican 1535, like We Come to You case. It's a hard, cased like suitcase. So the heavy metal stuff, like the stands, I need stands whenever I go do interviews in somebody else's office. But then the lighter things, I have a specially made backpack by, it doesn't matter, by somebody. I'll post a list, whatever. Because it is good stuff. I did a lot of research to make sure that I'm doing this right if I'm going to do it. So I've got the boom arm at home with the one Shure microphone. It is plugged into the mixer, the red kind of 1.5 inch tall thing I mentioned before, by way of this XLR cord. The mixer is then plugged into the back of the desktop. By the way, don't put it in the front because then you're going to short circuit. Learn that the hard way. Put it into the back of the desktop. Then I find out there's a second cord that also needs to be plugged into the desktop for charging reasons. That was causing issues. That wasn't abundantly clear. There's no instructions that come with this thing. Then I have to figure out, okay, so how does my computer understand how to talk to this? So I've had to, well, we've already dropped the F-bomb. We don't have to keep doing that. I saw Apple mark me as explicit on the pets episode. Yikes. So there's a lot that goes into it. And that's just the hardware and all that good stuff, right? So our second segment, this pre-flight ritual before the episode, if I have a guest, I need to make sure I sit 180 degrees across from them. Need to make sure that we point the backs of the microphones at each other so our voices don't bleed into each other's tracks. The mixer, the interface, I have to make sure that there's this one button. It's just labeled 48V, 48 volts. It's phantom power. That has to be off for me with a dynamic microphone. Otherwise, I can really seriously damage some stuff. I don't know if it's my ears or if it's the equipment, but I know it's not good. I need direct monitor on because that allows me to hear myself perfectly through the headphones without any sort of delay. I have to make sure I select the correct input. I have to make sure that my gain that's that green bar I was mesmerized by at the beginning of this. Make sure that my gain is green. And then I have to open up Audacity, which is the program into which I record. So I'm not using like Windows Recorder. I'm using a specialized mixing software. It's a DAW, digital audio something. And then I also have to make sure I open up the mixers software. Anyways, so there's a lot that has to be done. And oh, by the way, even further before all of this, I have to come up with the episode, right? So I have to figure out, if it's just myself, I have to figure out what topic is calling to me for this week. I typically have them planned out in advance, but every once in a while I'll find myself without a topic at hand. And I have to go sit down and just word vomit on paper. And then I have to organize my thoughts. And yes, I use AI here. It's all of my original thoughts, but I will use AI to help me better organize my thoughts when there's organization, which is to say I hardly ever use AI on this podcast. But yeah, writing out, it's called a crib sheet. I don't know why it's called a crib sheet, but it is. But writing out the crib sheet, getting the theme, if there's a guest, making sure to weave in their story, making sure to give them an opportunity at the end in a non-salesy way to say some good stuff about their organization and what they're doing. It all takes prep work. And oh, by the way, making sure you have your file and folder systems down correctly. And I just migrated everything from my local drive to my shared Google Drive, the company drive, and I realized that I'm going to have to continuously move this because I can't record directly onto Google Drive. Anyways, so a lot that goes into it. Like I said, this is going to be a shorter episode, so I'm kind of just rambling quickly through some of this, but I really just wanted to play with my mic and see hopefully how good this sounds. So we're going to go to break, and when we come back, we'll talk about managing the guest. Mwahaha. All right, and we're back. So, managing the guest, it's interesting, right? Because I'm still learning this, and so I'm no expert myself, but generally speaking, I think out of all the guests that I've had, even the ones that haven't aired yet, I think I've got the most podcasting experience, which is weird to say out loud. So, again, I think I said it before, corporate professionals, while well-spoken, are not trained broadcasters. It's a little bit daunting or off-putting or weird to speak into a microphone. I think the best way I can describe it is I have zero qualms with talking in public, speaking to a large group. But the first time I was ever on television, like the local news down when I was at River Ridge, and that camera got in my face, I froze up. And I could totally see how that could happen to people, corporate professionals who have the gift of the gab. You get in front of this mic and you kind of forget what the color blue tastes like. I don't know. Your brain just gets scrambled, right? So I have to help calm them down. I let them know, listen, every guest that's been on has told me that this feels like you and I were just having a conversation. We're just having a conversation. And so I tell the guests, let me dictate the flow. You just have a conversation with me. I'll get us through what we need to get through. And as soon as they realize that it's on me and they can just open up, and oh, by the way, they know that at the end, when I'm done editing, I'm not going to put it out unless I get the green light from them. See, I think some podcasters are not big fans of giving the guest approval rights. But I think because we're trying to humanize the industry, and I do agree with those podcasters that say that, by the way. But I think because my show has this niche to it, the human aspect of the profession, I want people to be as at ease and as calm as possible. And so for them to know, man, if I really screw up, Devin's already promised me he's not going to release this unless he cuts a portion out because I accidentally said the wrong politician name, or, something minor that in their world is major, right? Why not? So I think that helps. I also have to tell them, because I'm coaching them briefly before hitting record. There's the fist rule. So treat this mic like a flashlight. Keep the beam pointed at your mouth and stay about a fist's width away. If you lean back, the mic honestly loses you, right? So think of yourself as tied kind of close to the mic, right? It's awkward at first, but it becomes second nature. I also let them know, listen, they can turn their headphones up as loud as they want. That doesn't mess with the actual recording volume. That's just in their headphones. That's the great thing about the mixer. Also, if a guest realizes that all of a sudden they're going down the wrong path in an interview, and or if they stumble on a word or drop some corporate jargon that they want to rephrase, I always let them know this isn't live, right? They can always pause, gather their thoughts. We can make a quick joke, and then we'll go silent for a second. I'll clap my hands loudly to mark the spot. We'll pause for 3 seconds, then we just start the sentence over. It's easy. It's easy. So it's about getting people over that hump. And the final segment of this episode about, continuous improvement in our professions. There we go. There's the time. It is, right? But anyways, I'm not going to. So the final segment is post-production. This is what makes you sound like $1 million. You have to split stereo to mono so that you can separate the two voices. You have to go through the 4-step polish. So you have to select all, you have to go through noise reduction, then you have to filter the curve EQ, and you have to make sure that it's following like a +3 decibels at 4 kilohertz for vocal clarity. I think if I've got that right. A lot of details like that I've had to learn. And then you have to put it through a compressor, and then you have to normalize everything to a -1 decibel. And at that point, then you have to move your music around because you got different tracks and you're trying to line things up, and it's a lot of eyeballing, right? It's what feels right. When do I want my voice to come in on those tracks? So that's why sometimes I start earlier, sometimes I start later. It's totally in the moment. So yeah, and then it's giving it a listen, seeing if if I actually made sense that day, which I feel like this one has been pretty rambly. So thanks for hanging in there for those of you that have. But yeah, I just do kind of a final quality check, make sure I didn't say anything stupid, drop the name of a client or something, God forbid. And once I'm through quality control, like I said, send it off if there's a guest, let them or their comms department take a listen, and either do quick little choppy doos, chop, chop. Yeah, we're going to be chopping this part out because my mind just went blank. It's been a long day, folks. All right. Well, I hope this has been interesting. Oh, by the way, once you save everything, then you have to export it to a very specific type of MP3, and then I have to upload it to my Podbean account, which is my hosting account. I have to draft up the description, the tags for SEO. I need to put links in there when I promise you guys I'm going to put links in. And, then we have to push through. Oh, hi, Archer. We woke up the dog. All right, folks. I think that means it's time to go. So I got new gear. I'm excited. I hope you guys are excited. I hope I sound fantastic. I really do. But we'll find out. And now that Archer has woken up, I'm very sorry. You know who the king of the castle is. But just because the dog is the king doesn't mean that... Ooh, and now it's not going to sound right. It still means that site selectors are people too. Whatever. I'm your host, Devin Hillsdon-Smith. Bye.
Just a heads up, views expressed in this podcast are solely my own and are not attributable to any employers, whether past or present. Thank you.